Good evening and welcome to this meeting of the Buckingham Council Planning Committee. And can I ask, Paula, are there any apologies for absence?
Apologies from Sorry, Donahue.
Thank you very much. Do we accept?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. No, after declaration. Are there any declarations of interest that members want to make?
It's my usual one. I won't comment on the planning application.
Thank you. Thank you. Ron. And item 3, the minutes now. This is the minutes of the planning committee meeting, sorry, on the 18th of August. Are there any? Are they a correct record? First of all, yeah, well they are. That's what we are saying. And can I have somebody to propose? I'll propose them. It's correct record. Second them. All in favour? Correct record.
So,
thank you very much, Martin. Your orders. Correct record.
I'm with us.
Yeah. Okay.
Didn't know it was mandatory to wave the hand.
So I can have to do it.
Did you want a full house all the time, did you?
Yes.
Okay.
Unanimity. And item 4 on the agenda, the Buckingham neighbourhood plan, David Ellsbury plan, and everybody else on the Buckinghamshire local plan. So this is just to note that the consultation on the Buckinghamshire Council local plan has just commenced, and the town plan officer will produce a report for the next meeting. I think I just note that Robin.
no, just to say for you, Chair, that everyone looking at this, it's going to grow the infrastructure and everything else, and it seems to be a document that doesn't give anything about numbers, so it's everything but where we want to be. It might be worth watching the explanation cabinet member at the last cabinet meeting on what they're going to account, because it seems to be a necessary point they have to go through at this stage of the process. So a legalistic input is there, have targets to get their planning in by a certain time. So we'll watch this space.
Okay. Okay. The next meeting, we have more. It's more red meat by that point, hopefully. Item 5 is the North Bucks Parishes Planning Consortium. Martin, do you want to talk to this one where you have said that we're being asked to consider the town and the parish charter?
We have, yes. So
How do we consider it?
we consider it. It's only 4 pages on the PDF. So you can print that out. I think the question for us is, how do we want to approach it, collate it, and feedback? I think we can all do it individually, maybe. There doesn't seem to be anything that's stopping us, but we will be discussing this at the NBPPC, and the next meeting of that is on the 15th of October.
So you need.
So if we've got any comments to me on the 15th of October,
Right.
Thank you very much for Catherine for putting that synopsis on the agenda. And as you can see, those 4 bullet points are mainly what it's around, which is good because within the charter, it does say provide parish councils with advance notice and schedules and consultations, work in partnership and give opportunities for devolution, and making sure that we can call in planning bits when we need to.
Yeah.
So some of those aren't working.
Been enforced since when this?
Since ever, isn't it? I don't.
No. Okay.
There's no date on it.
No.
And this is the second version, the original work we were looking at.
Okay, I've got Councillor Draper, Councillor Sutsby, and Councillor Hart.
Can I ask, and I don't know if our existing Buckinghamshire councillor knows, who was the cabinet member who deals with relationships with South and Town councils and champion of local councils?
The current recipient of that honour is Councillor Steve Bowles, and he was it, then lost it, and now got it back again in the new council. So
good to know.
The charter was supposed to be a working document of cooperation, collegiate action, and working together. I think it's worth reading it in depth because not only it covers more than planning. It's about theoretically where they're going to work with councils on lots of other things. It really goes out. The planning elements are interesting enough, but it goes further than that. I think it'd be worth looking at the present document and then drawing your own conclusions whether they've met what their aspirations were within the document. I won't say what I think about it, but I think you can tell that I do think about it. And I think that'd be something we should do. Maybe for you, Chair, whether this is something. When's the time frame for the response?
15th of October.
Well, that's to the NBPPC, not to
No.
Buckinghamshire.
That's why just that we have not done anything, have we?
No. No. So
We can wait for that correspondence.
Yeah. Okay.
I would like for you, Chair, to say that when we have that correspondence, when they're good enough to notify the town clerk that there is such consultation, perhaps it's something that we should have a full council.
It's an important document for us.
Full council.
Yes.
Is yes. I think, but Martin's right about comments.
Let's see what we can do. Yes. So does this document, is it going to help us in terms of more powers coming to local councils? Is that sort of the bigger picture thinking that's behind it, or is it just we're going to be nice to each other?
I think it's called play nicely. I think your description be nice to each other is a big aspiration. I think that some of the things around the way that they're supposed to work with parishes and the way that they said it should work with parishes, I think people can draw their own conclusions whether they think that's been a success. That's why I say better to read the document and then do it rather than me suggest what I think is wrong with it.
John, down here there, I think just.
Yeah, I'm struggling not to be cynical about it. Really struggling. Because it is notable that this is about going through a body, albeit which does great work, has no democratic accountability at all. Lies outside not only local government, but lies outside of the Association of Local Councils too. And somehow they got involved and been invited to comment upon the town and parish council's charter when they're not a town or parish council, and we haven't.
Yeah.
So it's very important not to be thinking, okay, if you really mean business, then wouldn't we have been the first people to have been contacted, along with all the other parish and town councils of the county, rather than the planning consortium,
So
which does very good work. I'm not discussing it in any shape or form, but surely it ought to come to us first.
We look forward to receiving a copy.
Yeah, I think we do, and then we will go through it. I think what stood out really from the original draft, which is of course now extant, is any kind of real measure of its effectiveness, and simply asking for feedback on it. I mean, where are the hard measures? I mean, there are issues in there about response times. There are issues about consultation, all of which have been properly ignored by the Shire Council. And I'm a great believer in partnership, but it's very hard to engage with partnership when it appears that the other partner really hasn't got a great design.
Maybe it's up to us to give that feedback, to say, look, you say this and it's that. And also, we might give some praise where praise is due. But it's at least the document's been brought to our attention.
Yes, well, we wait to get the official notice.
And comments to Martin back by that. Oh, sorry, Lucy.
Could I make a proposal that we circulate this particular agenda item to full council? Because as Councillor Stutchery said, although it's come from the planning consortium, actually the town and parish charter does cover all collaboration with the Shire Council, and it might be good to get feedback. As the deadline that Councillor Try's been given is the 15th of October, we don't know what the actual formal deadline is. We don't know if we are going to be formally consulted on it, so it'd be good to get as many heads in the game as possible.
I mean, what we've been asked for at the moment is the MPD,
exactly.
been asked for their consultation, which is obviously going to be planning focused, which is why this. I would anticipate that we will at some point, as a council, be asked for our opinion on the full document. Whereas my guess is that the planning consortium have been asked for their views
It does say that we weren't consulted on the original. So that may be a precedent for us not to be consulted on the revised document.
Could the planning committee not ask full council for its views at this stage? That would be helpful, or is that?
Well, it's not really on, it's not been on the agenda for any full council, so I would suggest that it's not gonna have time to go to full council.
No, it's just an email.
Or we'd have to share it in.
Would you like to email it round to council?
Yeah.
I've got a good idea. I think I may just tap a few keys out and see where it goes within the council.
Thank you very much, Peter. Yeah, okay. I'm going to move on a minute, but Robin, do you want to last
I
word?
think, taking on board what's been said, I think,
It'd be very helpful.
the John's points of cynicism or sarcasm, whichever way you want to look at it, I think it would be prudent that we ask to write to the project cabinet member, asking what his intentions are with the consultation being as suggested. We've heard it through a third party and not directly, as it states on the document, town and parish charter, clue in the name. So it could be that send hasn't happened yet, and then we may get it pushed send, and then if the time frame isn't sort of a meeting, well, that is a discussion for the town clerk and the mayor, not for us really, if it's the time frame isn't.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
If I haven't heard anything, I will drop the liaison with the server and email and ask if it's coming in our direction, so we have a bit
make
more clarity.
this our turn. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to, sorry, John?
I was going to say, we've got a community board meeting coming up soon. I think it's next Thursday, this coming Thursday. So I will, if we get a chance, I'll raise this then.
Thank you very much indeed. Right. Can we move on to item 6, which is curiously empty. So the planning applications that we normally be receiving seem to be held up in some sort of a lockdown, Catherine.
Yes.
That's it. Yes.
Today, a planning application, not a tree one, an actual planning application.
Did you? What is the lockdown?
It's the new system.
Yeah.
However, I am awaiting possibilities because it is due for response 3 days before our next meeting.
Yes.
And therefore, it's going to be a squeeze getting it on the agenda because the decision date on the website is 13th of October, which is our next meeting. So I may not get an extension of time.
Yeah. Okay.
In which case.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So challenging times at the centre there. But I see that the future Central and North Bucks Planning Area Committee meetings they are on Wednesday, the 1st of October and the 5th of November. And the Strategic Sites Committee meetings are not on the 30th of September, or even again on the 30th of September, 23rd of October and the 20th of November, if they're held.
If they're held.
Yeah.
And they are more absent than not. This year, I'm keeping check on it.
Thank you very much indeed. So in the absence of planning applications, what we do have is a plethora of free work, which is going to bring joy to the soul of Councillor Haydock there and other people who are very keen on this.
They're forming a queue waiting for the nesting season.
They seem to have done, yes. If we work our way through these, 6.1 Marcus Court, to remove a cherry tree which is unsuitable for the location. It does look a very big tree in, I must admit, I used to have a flat in that area. Karen?
Yes, I think Michael Hunt and myself have both commented on this tree. We think it's an almond, actually, which is a very early flowering species of prunus. And it probably was planted as a little thing like this, in very pretty in spring blossom. And it's now the most beautiful tree in shape and size. But you have to say, it is totally wrong position. And it's a great shame to have to pull out such a beautiful tree.
Yes.
But I can see that residents of the 2 properties involved, I mean, had no light during the leafing season.
So, please, Helen.
Is there any
potential for transplanting?
I looked at
putting it
that.
somewhere else?
And it's really too big.
One of the things that'd be great if we noticed it earlier or somebody would spot it earlier.
Exactly.
Now they let it get so big in the Rocky Mountains.
But not even reducing the crown or anything would work.
Right, okay. Are there any other thoughts about it, Robin? Please, yeah.
It looks to me like it could be pruned.
Yeah.
Rather than
Not, yeah?
felled, or they don't want
Well,
that.
not particularly. No, I mean, if we miss variety, it will be very susceptible to disease. And it won't, at the moment, it's glorious, shape, its basic attribute. And if you were to prune it, just looks like a silly old stump.
Oh, that's a shame, because it looks lovely, doesn't it?
It's not bad, I think this is one of the ones where we're going to have to be, go against all our better instincts. And
I can see probably a former resident thought this is a nice pretty tree and stuck it in.
so do I need a formal vote on this? Or just
Well,
a view?
these first two have actually been sent out for consultation. Properly with the response.
Yes, no, yes.
So this is an application for consideration.
So we, so I'm going to ask people to support the removal of the tree as being unsuitable.
No objection.
No objection. Okay. So would members, sorry, Fran,
I was going to
propose no objection
objections.
to removing the tree as being unsuitable for the location, sad though it is. Seconder, Heather, thank you very much indeed, yeah. Okay, all those in favour? Thank you very much indeed. Okay, awesome, yes, we're not you. We've got that box. And 6.2 in Bostock Court, work to the trees, sycamore, lift the crown to provide 5.2 metres of clearing from ground level. Who's got a comment on this one? Please, yes.
I'm going to say no objection. Or propose no objection.
Just makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, I don't mean the road.
Second.
Seconded, thank you. So proposed by Roger, seconded by Lucy, that we have no objection to this work to the sycamore tree in West Street. All in favour? Thank you very much indeed. We don't bother with abstention to say good.
And the next three were circulated as we used to before by email, so I've got comments for those.
Okay, and so 6.3, no objections. So do we need a formal vote on that or do we? Yes, okay. So 6.3, I'm going to ask for a proposer. Roger, and a seconder. John, John first of all. Roger and John, and then all in favour or no objections on that. Thank you very much indeed. Except for Robin. Okay. And 6.4, Shandos Close. 3 trees, so no. And again, no objections. Shall I, just to save you all the admin, shall I propose that? And somebody second it, please, Lucy. And all in favour of no objections. Thank you very much indeed. Just giving our arm a little bit of exercise here. Sorry about this.
And this is our own application, so you may decide to declare the interest as the council.
So this is to do our own trees. I remember seeing I've done before that willow. I remember being people, somebody got in touch with my husband to say, what on earth's been done to that willow? It looks terrible. Of course, it's now. We'll try again one thing. It did look a bit stark. So again, there have been, you've all had a chance to look at it. There's no objections. If I propose it, can somebody second it, please? Tony, thank you. And all in favour? Of no objections. Thank you very much indeed. Right. Oh. And then, so the trees have it. Oh, it's terrible. It's a box trees. So item 7, planning decision, 7.1. I love the slate. no objections by us before, and they've all been approved. So that's good, and then not for consultation, the next slew sounds as though we're also.
You remember that the university decided to have also maintenance. Swoop. There were 11 applications.
Yes. Go to one of them.
They have got some specific.
Yeah, so that's all good. And then, does that carry, that's that there? Is that all of those? Seventh house I've got down as far as that, and then moving on to the split decision. Sounds dangerous.
Well,
We had no objection.
there were 2 trees and they said yes to one, no to the other.
That's right, yes. We refuse. Refuse the crown reducing on the hybrid poplar. And approved the pollard to the willow.
Which is a regular job for willows anyways.
So we just note that. And then one was withdrawn, I think, so much relief. And then if I can move on to item 7.2, the planning inspectorate. There was an appeal from 26A Deerfield showing refusal, and the inspector has dismissed the appeal. So again, we just note that. And I've got a things to see is item 8, if I can move on. The street naming, which was complexly sorting out our herbs from our spices. But we did a good job. Who was it around the table that came up with these herb names? But they seem to have, thank you, Mayor, what it was. They seem to have gone down very well. And I remember Carolyn talking about the butterbird, ones that actually heard of. And you will now be remembered, Carolyn, for managing the street.
Respected it.
Yeah, exactly. So a sense of ownership there. So the section 18 notice was posted on 3rd of September. If there are no objections to the magistrate's court on 24th of September, then the Royal Mail will allocate postcodes, and they will somebody will decide what they're going to be, ways and closes, etc. And to note, and this is one for John here, to note that the Royal Mail and the developer have accepted the following name for this cul-de-sac: Vesta Place.
Was a Roman god.
The Roman goddess,
Yes, yes.
Goddess of
Something
our
James Bond.
family and.
Yes, yes.
Our foam and fire.
Yeah, our family.
Isn't that absolutely?
Yeah.
No,
That's all good.
Well, it's not, yeah, moped then.
Well, I thought it was a very
That's the best.
That's
That's really good. Not.
Oh, sorry.
That's the channel. That's right, yeah.
Noodles.
Right, now I'm on. Oh, gosh, my husband has not printed up this whole thing for me. So I'm just such a heavy back up the page, sorry. Give me a second. No. Yes. It's been printed on page 4. So well. Oh, okay. Only a minute. So let's look in the trees. Item 9, thank you. The item 9, action reports. I'm taking that these are to note, they seem a bit cryptic to me. 3 urgent, 1 FC2 planning. 12 tree applications.
That's just, I did actually not have a response.
You did file response, and then, well, John, you wanted to comment on this?
Yeah, item 15. One is that a developer involved in the issue around the Sacred Bay in Allington Road.
Item 15.
I'm wondering if something's been transplanted. Probably.
No, we had a consultation about putting a disabled bay on Allington Road, which was a revisit of one that we had last year.
Yeah.
And members asked if it would be removed if the person no longer required a disabled bay. We have yet to see whether the disabled person uses, whether they'll get from the road to the path, because it's quite a steep bank. And that is the officer's reply, that yes, it will be deleted once it's no longer required.
Yes, well, in the list, the road 15 it's got conservation of disabled bay, and then in column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's got about Buckstock Reserve and developers, and that was given to BPC for
It's got slightly askew on them.
because it's got a
Yeah.
fan
I spotted that earlier.
To be perfectly honest, I didn't check.
I'm just.
We'll just check and tidy up, John, I think you're quite right, because I noticed there are askew.
I think it's,
Under name, street name.
come from, yeah,
Are we happy to allow the office just to tidy that up?
Yeah.
As it has previously been.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for.
That should have been on the street name.
Street name, yeah.
That's the one I thought, yeah.
yeah, we've got update reported on Morton Road there, haven't we?
Well, there's no
Yeah.
shortage of words, paper in the office, and this is.
We've
a little bother spray.
We've been falling bit off again.
Never.
No.
Is that a discussion or are there points on item 9, or can I move on to item 10? Notes from Buckinghamshire Council meetings. We have a meeting on the 23rd of July. It's like a brand new, going to give a verbal report from the chair. On the meeting in July. I think that was the one where I had to go into bat on your one, wasn't it? So we played the Buckingham neighbourhood development plan, but saying, you know, we're going to develop the whole town has been consulted on this. People say they want to develop that side, the west side of Buckingham. Why are you trying to stick on on the east side of Buckingham? And councillors have to be asked lots of useful, helpful questions. I'm being nice to you tonight. That you could sense in the meeting the way it was going, that people really understood our case. It was decided at the time that there would be a site visit and it would come back to the next committee meeting, which was the
No, it came back, it would have, the next one was the August one, which was council, so it had to come to the
so that's back to the 3rd of September. I sat there very anxiously with Catherine. But again, it was the committee members decided not to accept the developing proposal. Do I go on with what happened after that?
Well, you've got movement on the agenda.
Yeah. So the committee members in September decided to refuse planning permission for Law Homes for development. But before the officer could actually issue the notice.
I mean, we left quite late and there was another application to do, so I think the man probably went home for his tea rather than up to the office to do the decision seat.
So before the decision was actually notified to the company formally by the officer, the developer put in an application for non-determination, an appeal of non-determination. And just, you know, this is an interesting way of going on. I will have to see whether people feel that it's sort of what the decisions are on all of this, but there seems to be a certain bit of quick footery going on here, but we'll have to see. Anything else I should be saying at this point?
Yeah. We haven't actually got the appeal documents yet, so, but I can't help feeling that the extent might say we can't decision on the day, and I think it was a public meeting and everybody, it was almost unanimous. And
So, yeah.
I think it was,
update.
I think it was probably going to be expected if it had gone that way, that there would be an appeal by the.
I would expect it, I didn't expect it over the night.
No.
But before the decision that
Yeah.
really came right. How much?
If I just ask Catherine, actually, did they appeal the same day as the meeting? Did they appeal to the inspector on that day? Do you know?
I don't know whether it was a timed missive or not, but the decision wasn't posted, and it wasn't posted a week later. And so I inquired what had gone wrong, because when I had such trouble with this new system, I thought perhaps it had gone Walkies in the middle. And this was the answer, that the appeal had been lodged before the decision was actually printed.
Would that make a difference, Roger, what you're thinking?
No, just because if they've appealed, they obviously don't forms and documents ready, because I had to submit them.
I'm fairly certain they sat there with them waiting there on their desk.
So,
Okay.
Anyway, that's a situation, and it's the real world we live in. It was refused by the committee. Right.
I think it would be useful to write about the grounds of what the bill is. I know they said what it is, but we just need to see what included in it. Yeah, I know, but it will be more interesting than the decision in many respects. But I think everyone felt, Mayor said to they that they thought that might be the way it went, and I think maybe that's how it is. But I do think that it'd be useful to bring it back when we've got the actual paperwork of what their grounds are and discuss them. I think it'd be interesting.
If it's a proper appeal and it's not one of these fast track ones, then we should be invited to. Anyway.
Okay, right. So that was the excitement of the Central and North Bucks Area Planning Committee. And we that call-in was successful at that point, although as the Mayor has said, there's always going to be another challenge. So let's see if we can. At least we did our bit. We got that support, and that was excellent. 10.1 again. 10.1.2. No. Anyway, Town and Parish Quarterly Forum meeting on the 26th of July. To receive the slides presented at this meeting. Who would like to talk on this?
This is, I mean, it's so old now, and we'll get the next one on Thursday. It's just really for the record. Unless members have actually spotted something and haven't asked about.
Any comments on this? No. Thank you very much indeed. And thank you, Catherine, for bringing it to our attention.
Well, it would have gone to the August meeting, but we had an emergency meeting before it, so we didn't have time to do things.
That's okay, that's okay.
But I didn't want it to go on till November.
Yes, and that's right. So item 11, if I can move on, rolling lists. These are updates, and you were asked to note the updates, tree felling applications and appendix B. And if no hands go up, you can always return them. Call-in requests, appendix C. And HMO licenses, which is an excellent thing to have handy, appendix D. I'm happy to take any comments or thoughts on each of those. Yes, updates. Right.
Bring the chair at some point. We perhaps should. The history of HMOs in Buckingham probably started with this council. This council was concerned about properties for different reasons. They ended up being used, and I think it'd be fair to say that HMOs have become challenging now in lots of respects, because they were originally, when we discussed it a long time ago, we were discussing HMOs which was agreed. We asked for Article 4 because we were discussing university student accommodation at the time.
Yeah.
And we asked for an Article 4, and I think it was myself who took the motion of District Council, and they amended it to licensing. But they're now really being used for something completely different than what we anticipated them to be used for. Rather than predict a conversation, I think it would be useful to re-evaluate them in the context of the legislation of what they are, and the council has to grant an HMO if they meet
Yes.
but I know that they're getting smaller. I know that they're getting less where it is, and maybe a discussion around where we feel that policy is now, because it's becoming quite difficult for people in different areas, and where one HMO moves, another one follows, and of course the people in them aren't having necessarily all they can afford to rent, which is one issue.
Yeah.
But of course, there are the issues of the accommodation being very cramped and
Yes.
the risk of it. I think it's an adult conversation around where we think it's going as a community. It might be something rather than just put my own view on it. I think it would be something for each other. And we should have a discussion around
On the
it.
table.
It's changed a lot since
Yeah,
we originally
yeah, got
discussed it,
Got that.
probably a decade ago now.
Thank you. Okay, that's on the table. Lucy?
Can I ask, I mean, Robin, you might have an answer for this. In terms of the licensing around HMOs and the conditions in which people live, how much weight or how often are the tenants of HMOs consulted as part of the licensing, if ever? And do they know that they have the ability to comment on their living conditions if they feel that they don't meet the standard to which their HMO is licensed to?
If I can,
I'm not really sure what response is, so there's have to have a conversation.
now, I think it'd be fair to say that I scan read the new pieces of legislation on renting. I don't think it covered it. If it did, I missed it. And if it did, I'd be pleased it did, because your rights are, as a HMO tenant, whoever you, she, or they are, is difficult, and it's done on application and isn't and done very much under licensing as a right if they apply and meet all the conditions.
But they don't get a chance to.
No, I don't think individually or collectively they have a say.
Yeah, got that.
In many cases, they're very short-term tenants anyway,
Yes,
so the turnover is right.
They return to.
So my understanding of it is that if you're a tenant in an HMO, you're a tenant in the same way and same right as you would be in any other tenancy. So it should be along the lines of an assured short-hold tenancy agreement. It's the building that is licensed rather than
The landlord.
the occupation of it. So
Sorry, that's not quite, I meant as in, for the licensing process.
Of the building.
Well,
Of the building
building
would have to meet a certain standard.
Yeah.
So when that license is up for renewal, because I can see there's a few that are due to expire in the next couple of months. What's the process? Does someone come out and inspect?
I think
Expected.
it's a combination of environmental health and licensing.
Sizes and what the facilities are for each tenant.
So there is a thorough inspection. But whether they actually ask the tenants view.
8 people in a house on Lace Lane, which none of the houses that were built that were more than 4 bedrooms when they were originally built. So to cram 8 people in there, that's.
They did build they've converted a loft and built a big dormer out so that you've got habitable rooms in the loft.
Can I suggest we move on, because I don't know that this is something which
You will be visiting it in October.
Yeah,
anyway.
okay,
The application I just spoke of is to extend a 6 to a 7.
And that will give us a chance to comment on some of the areas of concern to councillors here.
And if you've got any question from me, I will ask my answers.
Thank you very much indeed. Okay, thank you very much indeed. So item 12, section 106, quarterly update. Job, your favourite job.
It is one of my favourite topics.
Sadly, for you.
Thank you, Sharon. The one that's been highlighted, 380,000 yet to be spent on bus and public transport subsidy. Couple of related topics to this. One is, as we know, it's been reported that Stagecoach have written to us wanting to have a meeting, and I think we're in the process of setting that up, the town clerk and so on. Secondly, also the town clerk's aware now, I mentioned it, I think a couple of other people, maybe not. I finally managed to get in touch with National Express, and I got a reply back from a woman, I presume their headquarters, whatever, saying that it would take it for them to create a stop in Buckingham would require 10 passengers a day to make it viable. I don't know what that turns into cash for them. I've written back, and I've copied him back, just saying, well, you might get 10 passengers a day because it's a popular route. We know that from the X5. Lots of people go to airports from here and also to Oxford, of course. And so they would also provide a link back from Milton Keynes, which currently were lacking, and so on. So I've not yet had a response to that, but I do wonder whether any of that £308,000 could be used to subsidise Electric Express to encourage people to stop here and then begin to create demand. As we know with buses, if you put it on, people begin to use it, and then, you know, build it and they will come and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The other aspect of this as well, of course, is I'm still trying to get money signed from somewhere for a feasibility study to look at a fast coach service from Northampton to Hindley.
Yeah.
I still think there's viability for that because mostly there are buses already using part of that route, but I think for us to have a good way to service the one beyond Northampton via say Toaster would be good. Public transport really to actually have. And I know that we've got extant on the action list that we discussed earlier on in this meeting. That we've got an outstanding meeting with the officer to come along and talk about the spend of all the technologies, but a particular one that is highlighted. I hope we can get that meeting as soon as possible, because there are a number of issues here that are all related, and we really need to drive forward on this. Although a lot of the extant dates are not for a year or well, for a couple of years or more, I know what happens. This could all leak out. We know what happened. We all know what happened with the Stratford Road car park. We ran out of time, and the money went back to the developer. And none of us want that. We all want the money that's been allocated to be spent on our local community in a whole variety of ways. But I'm just highlighting again, it's critical to get that officer here as soon as possible to a full council meeting. And also finding out maybe in advance. It says here in the row, funding to be drawn down by the BCC or BC now, as in the transport team, depending on service requirement. Well, there are requirements. Who decides what's a requirement, where the money gets spent? Do we have any influence of that? Because we're working on behalf of the people of the town. And I suspect there's a lot of people in the town who would benefit from and would love to have a link to Luton Airport and a link to Stansted Airport and a link to Oxford at different times. I'm going to be using the 737 myself in a few weeks' time to get back from Gatwick in the early hours of the morning. There wasn't a bus back to Milton Keynes, so I'm going to Oxford and then using the 737 to go back to Milton Keynes that way. So I'm going to be using it. If it stopped on the route in Buckingham, I might try and bribe the bus driver and say, just stop me.
Let's not do that in a second.
So I just think there's a lot of demand here, and I think we can do a really good thing for the community by really drilling down on this with the Shire Council.
Okay, we get the message, and we commend you, John, because you have been fighting for over the years to a sort of grassroots up approach. And I'm not quite sure if anyone around the table here can tell us what's the, where does the grassroots up meet the top down, and where does the thinking actually go on? Why are we still missing out? So that was one bit, your transport question, and the other bit was the Section 106 officer promised.
Well, yes, I promised meeting and I'm going to
be frustrating, any good chairman. And then I'm going to ask, see if anyone's feeling fair.
So we can ask again. Obviously, I've got no way of forcing them.
No.
So we will.
Do we need to come up with a sort of compelling narrative or something? Or where's the money? Or I don't know. What's the correct?
I think there are two different questions there. It might mean that things, attitudes are changing, and things are moving. I will have another polite nudge.
Thank you very much, Steve. Strong and light nudge from Claire might get us there. Robin.
I think the making sure funds are spent on what they are, they've got to be spent on what they were in an agreement with. And two is the really important question is about priorities, future planning agreements. So there is an answer to a written question in council on this. If you want to send us the written questions, there's an answer. We're not there for your present response to review about being involved in 106s and how best people can be involved in them. I don't think the response is great. So I think that we need to have a approach, because it's evident to me that that local people know what local people need. There's also my understanding is, and I read it, and it may be, and if I'm proved wrong, I'll apologise. I think SIL is an infrastructure levy is fast approaching.
Yeah.
And when SIL and infrastructure levy comes in, of course, there'll be no other option than to have a proper conversation around it, because 25% of it would be entitled to others. So I think we're going to be pushing at a more open door then. What we have to do is find out what the ground rules are. And I think when we discuss the point of section 106, it was to establish about SIL. Section 106, you can still have a section 106 agreement, even if you've got a SIL agreement.
Yeah.
So I think that was what we were talking about, was having them come and explain how SIL was going to work in when we went forward. So I think that's an important thing to do, because we will be in receipt of quite portions of SIL money. So then we have to start thinking about how that money would be allocated. So I think it is important they come and see us. It could be that they're reluctant to come and see us because they can't commit to what their situation is. There are opportunities to question this. I'll keep an eye on agendas, and if I see it on with the chair and planning committee and nod, because it could be that we can go and ask these questions, or the council can go and ask these questions elsewhere. I think we've got to keep pushing, because my memory of how the glorious business of new home bonus, when we all celebrated new home bonus, and then we found out that they kept the money down there, and then we had to ask for it by grant. And I think it'd be useful. I don't think that can happen with SIL, but I would be very tacit to think that 25% of development money would sit in Aylesbury and not in Buckingham if it was allocated to development. So I think we do need to actually understand it, and we need to understand the legal framework.
So you agree?
I do agree we need them here, but I think that was what we asked. I think it was.
I think it was part of a larger programme. I mean, everyone.
It was several months ago that we had it was not last council, it was the council before that, and when there was a motion on council. So I think we are entitled to ask why.
I think there's two trends. One is the, let's get a grip on SIL, and if that entails we're able to get somebody up here, fantastic. I'm sure they've probably got a big programme planned out for it, how they get it. But
we await the detail, as Councillor Stushby said.
Yeah, okay. And then there's the other issue about transport, and who we have, community groups, people on the ground, knowing what bus services they want to go where, and how they can sort of link into what's coming from the bus companies and from local authorities. Heather.
Just to comment on the transport and public transport, I personally would support more reducing the cost and opening up the access for people to go to school or to work on public transport, rather than going to an airport on holiday, because it's an everyday thing, and people on lower incomes are more likely to see the difference in the bus price if than somebody who's flying for a week in New York or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
Just there are quite a few people that work kind of in Luton. Oh, if they're going to the airport for work, then. But because Luton Airport's quite central to Luton, there isn't actually a direct route. It's quite complicated to get there.
Anyway, I won't get into bus. No, I'm just saying bus routes and things like that. We're onto bus hotels next. But it all needs to be looked at in terms of encouraging people to get them. And holidays as well. I want to move on, if I may, because I think we've sort of pretty much sucked the juice out of the section 106 item at the moment. Number 13, item 13. Oh, this gets really exciting. Application and other codes for Buckinghamshire marginated system. And Catherine has got them by the looks of it. So here to note are the fact that there will be no leading zero.
The leading zero was useful under the old system.
Yes.
Because they used it as a code for the discharge of conditions, which meant it was immediately linked to the application number. So that if you had an application 1, 2, 3, 4,
yes,
with a zero at the beginning, the discharges of conditions would be A 1, 2, 3, 4, B 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes.
Now we're being seen to be, I mean, we haven't by any means run the gamut of what's possible yet. They're going to be a new application number for each one. And some of our bigger applications, we've learned into past the end of the alphabet and into double letters.
So you don't think
So
it
if we're
works
going-
very well?
No, because you're not going to have an immediate. I mean, at the moment, we haven't got a planning history of anything linked to anything in the new system, so you've got to use both. But
Okay.
you're going to have 20 different application numbers.
So I didn't consult you on this one.
Okay. Might be what we were a town or parish, that's it.
Okay, well, I'm not you particularly want us to.
They're not intuitive,
No,
no.
no.
I mean, the protected tree one is TP, which is fine. The conservation area tree ones is KA. So unless somebody's a bit spelling challenged.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah.
Wrong spelling.
They've actually started on the backlog and I have got a proper application today, so there should be a deluge to come. Because I was having words with IT because I couldn't actually log into the system. Because, wait a minute,
Okay.
and what she said that we had 15 to 20 Buckingham applications waiting for validation in the system. So that would be fun.
Lovely. Okay, well, all that to look forward to. I'm going to move on a little bit remorselessly. Item 14, matters to report. Is there anything that members would like to report? Like damage, superfluous, redundant signage in the town, access issues or any other urgent matter? Yes, Karen. What's your big moment?
I'm going to bring up April Cottage again.
Oh, no.
What is happening? It is getting worse and worse, and
Yeah.
I note that there has been apparently a review of the conservation area, which I was looking at earlier. And it is very detailed and it's not bad, although it was prepared by County Council in Essex. It claims to have consulted with Buckingham Society, which it didn't. But apart from all that, it does go into some detail about the individual buildings that we have as a part of our conservation area. April Cottage is one of them. It's listed, I believe, and it is just deteriorating before our eyes. And I know it's been on the agenda before, but how do we push this forward?
Okay, I've got Roger at the end of the table there now. That's Catherine.
Yeah, it would probably be helpful if us as a town council wrote to the heritage officer and said, this is getting into an appalling state and they need to serve the repairs notice.
Yeah.
Repairs notice, it's various stages, isn't it?
Okay, Frank.
I believe that's been done, hasn't it?
Yes, it's been done twice, and I took
Yeah.
photographs both times, so I was able to show the deterioration.
Yeah. And
So-
I've written to the heritage
So
officer
what is
as well
the blockage?
myself.
What is the blockage then?
I don't think they've got enough people playing on to work.
Oh, okay, so it's on their shoulders.
Just to say that they are reviewing the conservation area, I'd put it on Facebook. I think it's a useful thing for people to be involved in. I presume that last time we had a review of the conservation area, they wrote to town council. It was, and I believe the Buckingham Society and people went out looking at various areas. I remember it well. There was a review of it after that.
Bring binder with pictures in.
Yeah, so I think it's something we basically drove forward from the Buckingham end.
Yeah.
It may have started in the Buckingham side, it may have ended in the town council, I can't remember, but it was a Buckingham end thing. So I think the fact that they put new areas into it is worth looking at.
What about April Cottage?
Well, it's a listed
It's a
building,
listed building, it.
so they have a statutory duty to
Yeah,
look
it's in
after
the
it.
conservation
Yeah.
area, it's covered under conservation, so they can't make it up as they go along, I mean.
Can we write to them again? I'm just wondering what we do about it.
Well,
Yeah,
what I would suggest,
Change that letter.
Yeah.
if it's in the area of the conservation area, it's bound by the rules of the conservation.
So we'll
area.
write a letter.
So that they can't change those rules. but this new consultation isn't about that April cottage, it's about the future. So I think it's worth, I think it's very important that we individually form a view, and then, because it does involve areas of land which are different than they were before, because the town's grown, so.
Thank you, Robin. So Carolyn, are you happy that we'll?
Yes, I think
The Buckingham Society is everything right?
Catherine could advise if the Buckingham Society can do anything specifically as well, we will do it.
And I think a formal letter or headed paper would
Would be helpful.
yes.
Town clerk and then John, sorry.
So I just say, no, I mean, obviously, we would trace the response, the inquiry we've already put in and see if we can come get some sort of movement. I
Yeah.
find a lot of delays.
It is, because every time I walk past it, I don't know what happens. It's so sort of shit, so sad. John,
Okay, it's not related to April Cottage, we finished that?
yeah, I think so,
Well,
yeah,
Okay,
we're gonna write a letter.
okay, good. Two things really. One is, as some members know, I do a regular trip down to the Lava Cafe on Tuesday mornings. And when I come back with my wife and grandson, we have to cross over the bypass. And on the corner, as you're travelling south on the bypass, approaching the Bolton Road roundabout, the one that looks like a flying saucer. There's still some signage on the road. I don't think it's doing any good. What it does is obstruct my vision for seeing cars going up, so I need to cross the road safely. So if that sign can be removed.
What does it say? Which one?
I don't know, to get down there would mean walking in hazardous traffic.
Oh,
It's the back,
it's on the bank, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just been run over by a lawnmower or something.
Yeah, so I don't know what function it's tuning in.
I think somebody, our theory, Shane Mordew, is somebody cut the grass, ran it over and rather than, whatever, it shouldn't be there anyway.
No, so that needs to be removed. And the other issue is there's a constant problem with people approaching the roundabout. There's the bisects that the 421 and 413, next to Tesco's and McDonald's and so on, where people are approaching it from the east. Some cars do end up in the inside lane, thinking it's going straight on, and they go. And I noticed today that the sign that actually, it's not very big, but the sign that says there are only 3 lanes, one for the left, one for straight on, and everything else, is really, really grubby.
Yes.
Like a lot of signs in the county at the moment. And I figure it could do with a wash.
Okay.
And it might simply highlight the sign for people if it was clean, rather than covering in increasing amounts of mildew and lichen.
Thank you, John.
And I think generally the signs in the county are pretty poorly. There's a P sign though for a parking lay-by on the way up the 41 towards Milton Keynes that is now completely buried in the hedge.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's this big. I mean, it's now completely overtaken by the hedge.
Calm down, John.
And I think, we need to get
Absolutely
somebody
right,
on
absolutely
this.
right, yeah, thank you, Fran.
I was just going to say these things with dirty signage and obscured signage by hedges, etc., can be reported on Fix My Street quite quickly and easily by individuals.
Yeah, well done, well done.
Just
Robin and then Russell.
Just to say that if you're having trouble, John, getting across the road, you can always follow the footpath. And
Well, we've come that way, we go back in the front.
oh, well, in which case you manufacturing your own problems, aren't you? If you want safety, why not go back down the footpath and avoid having to do the road at all?
We welcome Robin's local knowledge.
Down the route.
I think that sign that John was talking about, is it says 8-422 diversion, because they
Oh, that's.
those in the 422.
Yeah, good, yeah.
Are there any other substantive items that we want to talk, so getting into Heather?
I'm not sure how substantive, but a few months ago I reported there was an issue with a 5-bar gate at Holloway, Spinney, opening into Hilltop Avenue. And then when I next looked, prompted by Catherine, it looked like it'd been fixed because the gate was open. But it turns out you can't shut the gate. So it's either it's shut and you can't open it, or it's open it and you can't shut it. But either way, it's still an obstruction when shut for anybody with a pram or a mobility scooter. And without any evidence, I suspect it might be the guy that lives next door to that is choosing whether it's open or not. It seems to be an access point to in some way.
Okay.
So
Catherine has noted.
speculating on that one, but in any case.
Thank you very much.
But personally, I don't see why we need that gate there at all.
There were motorcyclists who were using it as scramble.
Yes, but they can get in another way. It's only stopping prams and mobility scooters, bikes can get in anyway.
That's,
So
that's
it's not,
parks and open spaces, right? We'll get on to it.
Thank you very much indeed. So I'm going to roll on from item 14 to item 15. Chair's announcements. I have none. Yeah, no, we check that. No, technically. They wind me up the back, you see. Do I have any chair's announcements? And the date, item 16, date of the next meeting, Monday, the 13th of October. It's really fortunate. I say thank you very much indeed, and